What if I told you men don't risk everything for beauty, charm, or even love? They risk it all for one specific thing, and most women never realize what it is. If you don't know this one shift, you might find men enjoying your company, but never truly stepping up, never fighting to keep you. But if you understand it, you'll see men go further for you than you ever imagined. So what is it? It's the way you value yourself, not in words, but in actions. When you treat your time as precious, when you make someone earn their place in your life, you instantly separate yourself from everyone else. Men risk everything for what they cannot easily replace. They don't risk it all for a woman who chases them, who bends over backwards, who gives more than she gets. They risk it for the woman who shows them she's worth fighting for, because she lives by her own standards. She doesn't shrink to keep someone comfortable. She doesn't give in just to avoid conflict. And she doesn't sell herself short. The truth is, men want to feel like they've won something rare. If you give yourself away too quickly, you rob them of that experience. But when you hold your standards, when you show both your strength and your heart, you become unforgettable. If this is resonating with you, don't just nod. Decide right now to raise your standards. Think about one area of your life where you've been giving too much for too little in return, and commit today to changing it. Because here's the secret, men don't risk everything for the easiest option. They risk it for the woman who makes them feel they had to become more to deserve her. Let me tell you something most women never really understand. A man will not put his world, his freedom, his very life on the line for just anyone. But for the right woman, he will let go of his past, reshape his future, and risk his entire being for her. A man does not gamble everything for just anyone, and that's the truth people rarely say out loud. A man can feel love for a woman, admire her deeply, even crave her, yet still walk away without hesitation. He can want her, enjoy being with her, even call her the one in moments of passion. And still, when the time comes to put everything at stake, he will pause. He will weigh the cost. He will protect what he already has. Because love alone does not make a man abandon his safety. Desire by itself does not push him to throw away his comfort. A man takes that leap only when he feels something so rare, so one of a kind, so deeply unsettling to his soul that he cannot ignore it. At that point, he has no option. He must either step forward to claim it or live with the haunting regret of losing it forever. Many women assume a man will risk it all simply because she is loyal, because she gives her love fully, because she pours out her heart without limits. She believes that if she is kind enough, patient enough, and good enough, he will see her value and choose her. But that is not how a man's mind works. Men do not risk everything for comfort. They risk everything for disruption. The woman who shakes a man's world is not the one begging for his attention. She does not sit waiting for his approval. She does not shape herself to fit neatly into his life. Instead, she becomes a force he cannot forget, a presence that lingers in his thoughts long after she has left the room. A woman like this doesn't need to be the most beautiful, or the most clever, or the most charming. She only needs to be the one who stirs something inside him that no other woman ever has. She is the woman who makes him question everything he thought he knew about love, about life, about himself. She does not chase, yet she stays unforgettable. She does not demand, yet she is treasured. She does not cling, yet she becomes the one he cannot let slip away. A man risks all he has for a woman who makes him feel in a way no one else ever has. And it isn't the feeling of safety, it isn't the comfort of predictability, it isn't even being adored without effort. Those things may be pleasant, but a man in comfort does not take risks. He only risks when a woman awakens something buried within him, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger, the part of him that craves a challenge, the part of him drawn to danger that needs to fight and to win. The deepest truth about men is that they don't fall in love through ease. They fall in love through intensity. They fall for a woman who doesn't need them, but somehow makes them desperate to be needed by her. A woman who gives just enough to taste, but never enough to fully own. A man will risk everything only when he feels that losing her would be a wound so great that nothing could replace her. That pull doesn't come from how much she gives. It comes from what she chooses to hold back. She holds back her full surrender until he proves himself worthy. She guards her time until he earns it. She withholds her full devotion until he fights to deserve it. And it is in that fight that he begins to risk everything. Most women, however, give too quickly. They love too freely. They offer their whole heart without pause. And when they do, they think they've secured his loyalty. But what they've really given him is comfort. He doesn't have to choose. He doesn't have to fight. He doesn't have to risk. But the woman who unsettles him, who makes him restless in the best way, she's the one who becomes his obsession. She leaves him hungry, craving, restless, urgent. She becomes his challenge, not his guarantee. And a man does not walk away from a challenge. He walks away from what feels too easy. She is not easy. She is not predictable. She is not waiting for him every hour, making herself an open book he can read whenever he wishes. She is a mystery he cannot fully solve, a craving he cannot fully satisfy, a storm beyond his control. And it is inside that storm he discovers something new, the fear of losing her, the fear of never finding another who makes him feel this alive, the fear that if he doesn't claim her now, she will slip away and leave him with regret for the rest of his life. That fear is what drives a man to risk it all. Because men are not designed to sacrifice for comfort. They are built to sacrifice for greatness. And a woman who understands this does not run after a man. She becomes the kind of woman a man will chase endlessly. Comfort is the end of desire. The moment a man feels too safe, too secure, too certain about you, something inside him shuts off. He stops craving, he stops pursuing, he stops feeling that electric urgency that makes him need you, not because he doesn't care, not because he doesn't want you, but because certainty kills urgency, and urgency is what passion feeds on. Men are wired for pursuit, for the thrill, for the hunger, for the chance they might lose what they long for. The moment he knows you will always be there, always waiting, always available, his mind relaxes. And when a man relaxes too much, he stops reaching, he stops choosing, he stops risking, because risk only exists where there is something to lose. Most women give too much too soon. They show up, they stay constant, they give loyalty without asking for anything back. And while those qualities are good, they do not make a man put everything on the line. They only give him comfort, and comfort is where passion goes to fade. A man must feel some uncertainty to remain fully engaged. He needs to know that you could leave at any time, not because you are playing games, but because you are a woman strong enough to walk on your own, because you are not waiting for his love to complete you, because you are already whole, and he must prove himself worthy of being part of your world. This is where many women go wrong. They give their heart, their time, their energy freely, expecting nothing in return. They treat their love like it is owed. And the second a man senses that your presence is guaranteed, he stops valuing it. Think about it. What do people treasure most? The things they might lose, the rare chances that don't come often, the people who cannot be so easily replaced. A woman who carries herself with quiet confidence, who does not hand over her soul without care, becomes unforgettable. She becomes rare. She becomes the challenge he cannot ignore. And what is rare is always desired. This does not mean being cold. It does not mean playing games. It does not mean withholding affection as punishment. It simply means being a woman who knows her worth and does not give her love, time, and energy to someone who has not earned them. It means being able to walk away, not because you want to, but because you know you can. Men respect what they must fight for. They value what they could lose. They chase what is not given to them without effort. The reason many men lose interest in women who are always available is not because they want cruelty or distance, but because the human mind simply does not value what comes without struggle. And the moment a man feels like he has you no matter what, he stops seeing you as someone he must keep choosing. But when a woman creates distance, when she steps back, when she holds herself to higher standards, she forces him to rise. She pushes him to put in the effort. She makes him choose her every single day, because he knows that if he doesn't, someone else will. Men are wired to pursue, to conquer, to claim what they see as valuable. The second a man believes he doesn't need to fight for you, he stops valuing you, not because he doesn't care, but because he doesn't have to. When you give too much, you remove his need to earn you. You take away his drive to prove himself to you. You erase the very element that makes him risk anything for you, the fear of losing you. A man will not risk it all for a woman who is always there no matter how he acts. He risks everything for the woman who makes him feel something he cannot feel anywhere else. A woman who keeps him alert, who inspires him to be better, who gives him just enough to want more. That is the hidden truth no one tells you. Men only truly value what they believe they could lose. It is that fear of loss that makes a man rise up. That feeling of uncertainty makes him desperate to claim you, to secure you, to prove himself to you. But if he knows you will stay no matter what, he will never step up. If he knows your love is always guaranteed, he will stop choosing you. The The woman who is at ease with space, with mystery, with leaving gaps for him to miss her. That woman holds the power, not because she plays games, but because she knows her value. The woman who is always available, always predictable, always present. She does not spark risk. She creates comfort, and comfort turns into complacency. She makes a man feel safe, but not alive. And when a man no longer feels alive in a woman's presence, he begins to search for that feeling elsewhere. If you want a man to risk everything for you, stop making him too comfortable. Stop giving so much that he never has to wonder, never has to question, never has to fight. Instead, let him feel the weight of your absence. Let him sit in the silence of missing you. Let him experience the discomfort of not knowing whether he still has you. Let him taste the fear of what life would be like without you, and watch how fast he moves when he realizes he is not entitled to you. Because the truth is, he must earn you. When a woman knows her worth, she becomes impossible to ignore. She stops chasing, she stops proving, she stops trying to win love. She simply lives in her presence. And in that presence, men feel something they cannot put into words, a deep, almost primal pull. A recognition that she is not like the others. She is not waiting for approval. She is not begging for love. She is the one choosing who gets access to her, and that choice makes her irresistible. Men do not risk everything for a woman they believe they already own. They risk it for the woman who walks like a queen, confident, independent, aware she is the prize. A woman like this does not ask for permission to exist. She does not over-explain herself. She does not lower her standards out of fear of being alone. She stands tall, knowing that solitude with dignity is far greater than company born from desperation. The moment a woman realizes she does not need a man to complete her, she unlocks a power most women never reach. Because men can feel when a woman is desperate. They can sense when she is shrinking herself just to be chosen. And men are not wired to value what is handed over too easily. They do not gamble their comfort, their safety, or their pride for a woman who asks nothing of them, but they will risk everything for the woman who carries herself with unshakable confidence, because that woman is rare, and what is rare cannot be replaced. When a woman embraces her worth, she refuses to let a man treat her as an option. She does not sit around waiting to be chosen. She chooses herself first. And by doing that, she forces a man either to rise to her standards or to fall away completely. She is not afraid of losing him because she knows the wrong man is not a loss at all. She is not afraid of space because she knows that a man who truly wants her will cross oceans to be with her. Most women give too much too soon. They hand over their time, their bodies, their energy without asking for anything back. Then they wonder why men don't value them. The answer is simple. Men do not value what comes without effort. They treasure what is earned. A man who has to prove himself, who must show with his actions that he is worthy of her time, is a man who will never take her for granted. He knows he could lose her, and that awareness keeps him on edge, keeps him striving. But a man who feels he owns a woman no matter what, he will test her, he will push boundaries, he will see how far he can go before she finally says enough. And this is where many women fall, because they wait until they are hurt to set boundaries. They wait until they are disrespected to demand more. But the woman who truly understands her worth doesn't wait. She sets the standard from the very start. Through her actions, she makes it clear that she will not accept half effort. She shows that a man must show up fully or not at all. Men notice this. They sense when a woman is different, when she won't settle for breadcrumbs, when she will not accept less than what she deserves. And that realization scares them, because they know if they do not give their very best, they will lose her. Not because she is angry, not because she is spiteful, but simply because she does not need them. She chooses them, and her choice is not permanent. A man risks everything for the woman who makes him rise higher, the woman who brings out his best, the woman who will not settle for empty promises but demands proof. She doesn't get carried away by sweet words. She watches his actions and holds him to them. A woman who moves from deep self-worth does not crumble when he pulls away. She does not beg for his time. She lets him decide. And in that decision, when he realizes he could lose her forever, that's when he risks it all. That's when he steps up. That's when he fears losing her, because he knows she is not like the others. The woman who knows her worth does not drop her standards for anyone. She doesn't make exceptions. She doesn't settle. She waits for the man who proves himself through consistent effort and real action. And until that day, she stays focused on herself, her growth, her joy, her own life. And that, above all else, is why men risk everything for her, because she is the woman who does not need them, but who chooses them. She is the woman who stands so strongly in her own value that any man who does not rise to meet it is simply left behind, because she is rare, and what is rare is always worth the risk. A woman who remains a mystery, who reveals herself slowly, is the one who stays in a man's mind long after she has left. She does not give away everything all at once. She does not open herself like a book desperate to be read. She keeps her depth, and because of that, she becomes unforgettable. She carries herself with a presence that makes men lean closer, always wanting more but never quite able to hold all of her at once. It is within this mystery that men become fascinated. It is within this unpredictability that they feel the urge to chase, to understand, to prove they are worthy of unlocking the depth of who she is. Men do not crave what they already fully know. They crave what escapes them, what makes them curious, what keeps them slightly unsure, what makes them show up and give more just to get a glimpse of what's beneath the surface. A woman who leaves a man wanting more controls his thoughts without even trying. She becomes the riddle he cannot solve, the puzzle that keeps him awake at night, the one who lingers in his head when he should be focused elsewhere. She does not need to demand attention. She already has it simply by not giving too much of herself away. The mistake many women make is believing that connection comes from oversharing. They think that if they tell a man everything, every thought, every feeling, every vulnerability, he will feel closer to them. But this is not how a man's mind works. Men don't attach through endless words. They attach through curiosity. They stay hooked when there is something left to uncover, when they feel there's always another layer to explore. A woman who is too available, too predictable, too eager to please does not spark this chase. She gives away the mystery too soon, and in doing so, she removes his need to pursue. A woman who keeps a man engaged is one who never answers every question too quickly. She allows him to wonder. She allows him to imagine. She makes him earn the right to know her. And in that space of not fully knowing, he finds himself drawn deeper and deeper into her world. His mind cannot rest because she is unlike the others. She does not give herself away too easily. She does not say yes to everything. She does not let him assume she will always be there no matter what. She keeps her own world moving with or without him, and that is what makes her irresistible. Men do not treasure what is handed to them freely. They treasure what they had to work for, what they had to earn. When a woman makes a man earn her trust, her attention, her softer side, he does not take it lightly. He values every piece of her she shares because he knows it was not given to everyone. She makes him feel he has won something rare, something not every man gets to see, and that feeling is powerful. Most women unknowingly hurt their chances by believing men will walk away if they don't give enough. So, they overcompensate, they overshare, they over-explain, they give too much too soon. But a woman who understands the strength of mystery does not fear loss. She does not rush to fill every silence. She does not reveal every thought. She lets the moment breathe. She lets the tension build. She lets the man wonder what she is thinking, what she is feeling, what she is doing when she is not with him. And in that wondering, his desire grows. His mind stays locked on her. His need to know more consumes him. A woman who keeps a man hooked does not play games, but she also does not turn herself into an open book. She doesn't fake being unavailable, but she also doesn't make herself too easy to reach. She finds the balance between being present and stepping back, between giving and holding back, between engaging and pulling away. She knows that the moment she becomes predictable, the moment she stops challenging him, is the moment he begins to take her for granted. Men don't fall in love with women they completely understand. They fall for women who challenge them, who make them think, who make them put in effort, who keep them just curious enough to keep investing their energy. A woman who is too easy to read, too easy to please, too easy to have, does not spark this level of passion. But a woman with depth who reveals herself piece by piece, who allows a man to earn his place in her world, creates a bond he cannot easily break. The strength of mystery is not about tricking anyone. It is about self-control. It is about choosing carefully what to share and when. It is about knowing that men do not attach through constant reassurance, but through the feeling of wanting to discover more. They attach when they sense they've only uncovered part of who she is, when they believe there's always more waiting. Many women fear silence. They fear unanswered texts. They fear giving a man too much space, worrying he will forget them. But a woman who knows the strength of mystery understands that space makes him crave her more. Silence makes him listen harder. Absence makes him value her presence. She does not smother a man with constant availability. She allows him to feel her absence, and in that space, he realizes this woman is not ordinary. This woman is not easily replaced. This woman is someone he does not want to lose. A woman who keeps a man invested does not follow the usual script. She does not fall into the trap of over-explaining herself. She does not try to prove her worth. She simply knows she is worthy, and she allows the man to discover that truth for himself. She does not rush to correct his assumptions. She does not beg for him to see her value. She lets her presence speak for itself. She lets her absence speak for itself. She lets the natural energy between them build without force. And this is why men risk it all for a woman like this, because they are used to women who chase them, who give too much too quickly, who bend over backwards to please. But when they meet a woman who moves differently, a woman content in her own mystery, a woman who lets them wonder, they cannot resist leaning in. They cannot resist chasing. They cannot resist risking everything. A woman who knows her worth never accepts half-hearted effort. She does not beg for attention. She does not lower herself just to be noticed. She does not tolerate inconsistency, disrespect, or emotional laziness. She carries herself with the strength of a queen, one who knows she is valuable, one who knows she cannot be replaced, one who knows any man who wants to stand beside her must rise to her level. When a woman lives with this unshakable self-worth, men do not treat her like just another option. They see her as rare, as a once-in-a-lifetime chance. They know that if they don't step up, someone else will. They feel the urgency, they feel the pressure, they feel the truth deep inside that a woman of value will never stay where she is not valued. Men are wired to chase, to pursue, to fight for what they believe is worth it, and nothing wakes up this instinct more than a woman who refuses to be easily impressed. A woman who does not fall for empty words. A woman who expects more than promises. She expects action. She does not wait around hoping a man chooses her. She chooses herself first. And in choosing herself, she creates a pull so strong men cannot resist. They feel it in her energy, in the way she speaks, in the way she walks, in the way she carries herself.